Well, it's 7 o'clock, time to get started. Glad everybody's here. Thank you for our visitors for being with us tonight. We'll continue tonight. We're going to be talking about another judge tonight. This will be a two-part tonight and next Wednesday, talking about this particular judge. One that probably we're most familiar with. One that probably we have been taught most about when it's little classes all the way up. And we'll get with him, start with him in just a moment. We'll begin with a word of prayer. And Glenn Barden, would you lead us in prayer? So which one is it? Which judge is it? Samson, that's right. Probably the more popular one that we learned as a child growing up about his amazing strength and his endeavors that got him in trouble. But it's in chapter 13 of Judges. In verse 1, we find again where Israel, as they always did, they would be faithful for a little while, and then after a little while they would become unfaithful, and God will send a judge in, and this judge will deliver them from the enemy. In this particular case here, they're in the hands of the Philistines, and it's been that way for 40 years. That's a long time to be under the rule of an enemy, but that's what has happened here. So they did evil, and the Lord sent them as punishment, the Philistines in, to help teach them a lesson. In verse 2 and 3, we find the parents of Samson and how they're involved in this. It says, now there was a certain man from Zorah, the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren and had no children. And the angel of the Lord appeared to the woman and said to her, indeed now you are barren and have borne no children, but you shall conceive and bear a son. So his wife, no children. And one day now she doesn't know yet he's an angel. They don't know that. She just knows, as we'll see a little bit, a man of God, for somebody to be saying this to her. So how would you take it? A total stranger came up to you and gave you some information like this? Or any information, a total stranger. Maybe they said, well, you're going to have a child one day, and it's going to be a male child, and if it's given a little more instruction here in verse 4, but it might be pretty awkward. Who are you to be telling me? What do you know about me? All the information. Well, the angel here continues in verse 4 and 5. Now, therefore, please be careful not to drink wine or similar drink, and not to eat anything unclean. For behold, you shall conceive and bear a son. And no razor shall come upon his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. So this angel has special instruction. He starts with the mother. Don't drink any wine or anything similar to it. Don't eat anything unclean. Again, he's given her these instructions of how she's to conduct herself during these 9 months that she'll be carrying Samson. And then in verse 5 there comes the Nazarite vow. Again, you're going to have a son. No razor. He's not to be any razor. Hair's not to be cut. So, and he's going to be the deliverer that Israel will have to get them out of the Philistines' grip. So here's these instructions. And she's listening to what is being said. And of course, the Nazarite vow, That was a part of it. Again, they couldn't touch anything dead even. They couldn't touch anything unclean. No wine or drink or similar. No alcohol there. They couldn't cut their hair. They were very easy to spot because of the look, the long hair. You would know that's a Nazarite, and they would take that vow, those vows. We know of at least 2 other Nazarites in the Bible that took the vow. Who might they be? Timothy, Titus, which one? Okay, that would be Nazarite vow. There's another. Come on into the opening of the New Testament, you'll find one. John the Baptist, he took the Nazarite vow. In the Old Testament, another was Samuel. He had the Nazarite vow. So it was nothing unusual for this to be taken by these particular men. And you knew this. But if one was given prior to birth, it would be a lifetime deal here for this individual to be born in this, to have this vow. You could take it at different times if you wanted to. If you want to wait later on in life and take the Nazarite vow, you could. You didn't have to do it all your life. There were vows you could take for a shorter period of time. But for the most part here, we find that Samson, this is going to be something he is going to take at birth. He'll be considered a Nazarite, and here the angel has told him this. And these, yes, no cutting of the hair. And this is found in Numbers chapter 6, where you find all the details that are there. Numbers 6, chapter 6, and we'll read about those. So whenever the wife here is told, the first thing she does, she goes to her husband. Verses 6 and 7. So the woman came and told her husband, saying, a man of God. So she knew something about him. Got to be a man of God to say this, to talk about this Nazarite vow. But she doesn't know he's an angel yet. A man of God came to me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of God. Very awesome. But I did not ask him where he was from, and he did not tell me his name. And he said, behold, you shall conceive and bear a son. Now drink no wine or similar drink or eat anything unclean, for the child shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb to the day of his death. So she tells her husband this, what any wife would do. This is certainly shocking news in some way, to be told you're fixing to have a child, and here comes all the requirements that go with it. So there's the husband. He now is involved in it. And in verse 8, we find Manoah here. Did Manoah pray to the Lord and said, oh, my Lord, please let the man of God whom you sent come to us again and teach us what we should do for the child who will be born. So he's wanting to talk to him. I got some questions I'd like to ask him. And he noticed there where he says, send him so he can teach us. He's wanting to learn. I'm sure he would have some questions, but he's wanting to learn more. Teach us. And that's important for one who's wanting this man to come. He does the teaching. And sure enough, in verse 9 and 10, and God listened to the voice of Manoah, and the angel of God came to the woman again as she was sitting in the field. But Manoah, her husband, was not with her. Then the woman ran in haste and told her husband, and he said, look, the man who came to me the other day has just now appeared to me. So she lets her husband know quickly that he is here. So she recognizes him the second time, this angel. Then 11 and 12. So Manoah arose and followed his wife. And when he came to the man, he said to him, are you the man who spoke to this woman? And he said, I am. And Manoah said, now let your words come to pass. What will be the boy's root of life and his work? So the question that Manoah has here, what's special about him? What's he going to do for a living? He's taking this vow my wife has told me about, and what kind of work for the Lord is he going to do? Going to be special. So he's wanting to know this, answers. You know, any time in our children's life when they're young, don't you wonder, you think, now what are they going to be when they grow up? What paths are they going to take? What are they going to do? Well, just what Manoah is wanting to know right here. What's his root of life going to be? What's he going to do? And I think I don't know if it's just different here how he would say this. There in verse 11, are you the man who spoke to this woman? Now we probably would say, are you the man that spoke to my wife? And it's just the culture there, how they would do that. But it was the wife he spoke to, so you think the wife would be a better word there to use, but he spoke to this woman. 13 and 14. So the angel of the Lord said to Manoah, of all that I said to the woman, let her be careful. She may not eat anything that comes from the vine, nor may she drink wine or similar drink, nor eat anything unclean. All that I commanded her, let her observe. So again, he's repeating to the husband, you make sure, that she doesn't drink the wrong thing. She doesn't touch the wrong thing. So again, he's want the husband to know this as well on the instructions to the wife. Then verse 15, 16. Then Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, please let us detain you, and we will prepare a young goat for you. And the angel of the Lord said to Manoah, though you detain me, I will not eat your food. But if you offer a burnt offering, you must offer it to the Lord. For Manoah did not know he was an angel of the Lord. Still doesn't know he's an angel. But hey, let's get something to eat. The angel says, nope, can't do it. I'm not going to eat with you, but I will worship with you. That's what he's telling him here, Manoah. Let's do the burnt offering thing. I'll worship with you. Because the angel is fixing to show him that he's an angel in just a moment. So this invitation Manoah is given to a perfect stranger, and but yet he's offering his hospitality. Just, it's the right thing to do, to talk about this upcoming child that's going to be born, their son. 17 and 18. Then Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, what is your name? That when your words come to pass, we may honor you. And the angel of the Lord said to him, why do you ask my name, seeing it is wonderful? Some think that this is Jesus, this one that's talking to Manoah because of the word wonderful. I don't think so, but some think it may be. And the reason they think that, if you go to Isaiah 9 and verse 6, here's a prophecy given about Christ and talking about all that he will be, and one thing he is called there is wonderful. So I don't think so, because verse 18 and other verses tie him down as an angel. He's just an angel. The news is wonderful. I don't really know why that word is used, but I don't think it's Jesus. But there's some, if you read some commentators, they would say this very well could be Jesus because of that word. I don't think so, but it doesn't matter if it's Christ or it's somebody sent from God, for certain. We know that. So they begin to offer a sacrifice. Look what happens in verse 19 and 20. So Manoah took the young goat with the grain offering and offered it upon the rock to the Lord. And he did a wondrous thing while Manoah and his wife looked on. It happened as the flame went up toward heaven from the altar, the angel of the Lord ascended in the flame of the altar. When Manoah and his wife saw this, they fell on their faces to the ground. So this angel, when the flame is going up, this angel, he's in the flame, and as it goes up, he's gone. He's out of there. And now they know this is no man. This is certainly somebody that's sent from God, an angel. And Manoah is concerned about this. If we see in 21 and 23, When the angel of the Lord appeared no more to Manoah and his wife, then Manoah knew that he was an angel of the Lord. And Manoah said to his wife, we shall surely die because we have seen God. But his wife said to him, if the Lord had desired to kill us, he would have not accepted a burnt offering and a grain offering from our hands, nor would he have showed us these things, nor would he have told us such things as these at this time. So if he's going to kill us, he would have done it a lot sooner. But his wife is correct. He's not going to, the Lord's not going to kill him. It's not the Lord to begin with, just a messenger from the Lord. But Noah doesn't know that, but his wife assures him that if we were going to die, we've been dead long ago. So this angel here has a reason for telling us this. Well, in verse 24, Samson is born. So the woman bore a son and called his name Samson. And the child grew, and the Lord blessed him. And the Spirit of the Lord began to move upon him at Mahanadan, between Zorah and whatever there, Eshtalol. So Samson's born, and as he grows, the Spirit of the Lord is working on him. I would think that is in training, training him what his job is going to be, training him the ways of God, and just, I don't think he's getting stronger yet. He may be, but here he is being trained by the Lord as going to be the deliverer, what to say, how to do it, things of that nature. And then from verse 25 to chapter 14, we find Samson here is pretty much a grown man. In verse 1, chapter 14, now Samson went down to Timnah and saw a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. So he went up and told his father and mother, saying, I have seen a woman in Timnah of the daughter of the Philistines. Now therefore get her for me as a wife. So he's been among the Philistines. He's been, here he is, a prophet of God, not a prophet, I guess, but also a deliverer, more or less, a judge. But he's mingling among these Philistines. Not really a good thing to do among the enemy. He sees this woman. He tells mom and dad, go get her. That seems a little harsh. Maybe it's the parents' job when it came to trying to line up a wife for their son. Maybe that was their job to do. But why didn't they say no? Why didn't they say no? You don't go to the Philistines and find a wife. And they're fixing to bring that out to him, but they didn't say no. Again, parents have a problem sometimes saying no. But this relationship is doomed from the very beginning because they have nothing in common. They don't even speak the same language. They don't have the same habits. They don't have the same thoughts. Their worship is different. The gods are gods. I say that Philistines' worship is not that of the true God. The Philistines worship Dagon. And of course, Samson here, he serves Jehovah. So there's nothing there to bring them together. And everybody says, well, it's love. Love can overlook these things. This is a lot to overcome here. A lot to get over. But it doesn't work out, as we know the story. And then his parents asked him a question, a very good question, verse 3. Then his father and mother said to him, is there no woman among the daughters of your brethren or among all the people that you must go and get a wife from the uncircumcised Philistines? Samson said to his father, get her for me, for she pleases me well. I wish I knew how Samson said that. We can't really look at it. And did he emphasize his inflection? Did he scream at his parents, go get her for me? I don't know. But he didn't listen to him. It's almost like your child, son or daughter, they go over to Saudi Arabia, and they tell you, I have found my future mate right here. And really have nothing in common except being human beings. Everything's different. And you might say to your child, of all the single women or men in America, you mean you couldn't find one? You had to go over there and find your mate? And it's going to be difficult for this to happen, even today, and difficult right here. Here was the enemy talking about. So they try to reason with him, but he's not up for reasoning. Here's what Deuteronomy 7:3 says, nor shall you make marriages with them. You should not give your daughter to their son, nor take their daughter for your son. God said don't do it. And here's Samson making probably one of his first mistakes, going against the ways of God, going into this enemy and taking a wife. But there's something here God's going to use in verse 4. He's going to use this future wife. He's going to use her to show what Samson's capable of doing and what he's going to do. Verse 4, but his father and mother did not know that it was of the Lord. So the Lord had something to do with this. That he was seeking an occasion to move against the Philistines. For at that time the Philistines had dominion over Israel. So they didn't know this. So God's going to use this. He's going to use it. He could have used anything. But since Samson won't listen and going to go against parents' wishes, going against the law of God, I'll use it. God says, I'll use it to teach them a lesson. And he does. So, verse 5, it's time for the wedding. Here we go. Let's go to Timnah for the wedding. So Samson went down to Timnah with his father and mother and came to the vineyards of Timnah. Now, to his surprise, a young lion came out roaring against him, and the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him. And he tore the lion apart as one would have torn apart a young goat, though he had nothing in his hand. But he did not tell his father or his mother what he had done. So this is the first time we see the strength of Samson. It says here, the Spirit of the Lord came upon him mightily. Did it come and go as he needed it? Was it always there? Well, he had it when he needed it. Against this lion right here, tore this lion apart. He just jumps out at him. What's he supposed to do? He tears it apart. How many of our problems that we have in life sometimes come when we least expect it? He least expected this, and it happened. On his wedding day, this lion jumps out. It comes as a surprise. And he needed the Lord's help. If he hadn't the Lord's help here, the lion probably would have killed him. But he had the Lord's help and his strength. And whatever he needed, the Lord provided here. But he didn't tell his mom and dad about it. Why didn't he tell them this? That's a pretty big thing. I just killed the lion. Why didn't he tell them? It's in the verse, I think, why he didn't tell them. Where is he? Where is he when he kills this lion? He's in the vineyard. Why is he in the vineyard when he's not to be drinking any kind of wine or anything of that nature? That's why he can't tell them. Remember, they took the vow to swell. We're going to do this. And again, he shouldn't have been there. Even if he was just walking through, here comes this temptation. But possibly, he couldn't have eaten a grape. Nothing from it. There would have been a temptation. But I think that's why he couldn't tell them for certain. There wasn't anything wrong with killing the lion. He just can't tell them because of where it happened at. Verse 7 and 8, he then went down and talked with the woman, and she pleased Samson well. After some time, when he returned to get her, he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion. And behold, a swarm of bees and honey were in the carcass of the lion. So he talks to her, and then after some time, he goes back, and I'm going to get married, but he walks by the lion, and there's these bees inside the carcass making some good honey. And in verse 9, he took some of it in his hands and went along eating. And when he came to his father and mother, he gave some to them. They also ate, but he did not tell them that they had taken the honey out of the carcass of the lion. Why didn't he tell them this? It was more than just it came out of the insides of a lion. I wouldn't want to eat it. There's more to it. What's one thing he could not do? That he can't touch anything dead. And now he's touched the lion. So if he tells them, I killed a lion, where were you at? In the vineyard. Why are you there? Then he said, where'd the honey come from? Came from this dead lion. How'd you get it out? He has to be quiet about it. Well, he does something here in verse 14 to the Philistines. That's how God is using this. He gives them a riddle. It's at the wedding. If this wedding is going to last 7 days, how would you like to be the father of the bride and have to pay for a 7-day wedding? But here they are, and all these Philistines are there, and he says, solve this riddle. Out of the eater came something to eat, out of the strong came something sweet. And for 3 days, he could not explain the riddle. So they're trying to figure it out, because there's something to it. Because he told them, if you'll solve it, I'll give you 30 new outfits to wear to these men, 30. But if you don't solve it, you got to give me 30. So there's what he's put before them. So they don't want to get rid of, not to go up here and pay for these outfits. So they're trying to solve it. Then in verse 15, they can't do it. And they go to his wife. Now, they're married. And they say, entice your husband, that he may explain the riddle to us, or else we will burn you and your father's house with fire. So they threaten the wife. If you don't get it out of him, you're dead and your family's dead. Now, why didn't she tell Samson this? He could have taken care of him, but she didn't tell him. And in verse 16, that's where she goes to Samson, and she begins to try to get it out of him, pry it out of him. And he says, I haven't even told my father and mother the answer to this riddle. I haven't even told them. And she keeps on. And in verse 17, she begins to cry. You know, these tears. You know, if you love me, you'll tell me. If you love me, you tell me what the answer is. And then he did. And she goes and tells these men, these 30 men. And then in verse 8, here's where they answer it. Their answer is, what is sweeter than honey and what is stronger than a lion? That's the answer to the riddle. And that's where Samson said, if you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have solved my riddle. So he knows that it was them that put his wife up to this to try to get this answer out of him. And he's not happy about it. But he's going to keep his end of the deal. He's going to give these men 30 new outfits. And what does he do? In verse 19, he kills 30 Philistines and takes their outfits and gives them to these 30 men. And they don't like it. As to what was going on here. And he's mad. He's mad at the whole thing. He's probably mad at his wife for doing this. He's just all in an uproar. And he goes back home to his parents' house. Now he's pouting. He shouldn't have gone back home. He should have stayed there, because here's what happens in verse 20. And Samson's wife was given to his companion who had been his best man. So Samson, they're thinking, well, he doesn't want to marry anymore. He doesn't love her or whatever. So they give her to his best man, who was a Philistine. Why is his best man a Philistine? Why is he making friends with these folks the way he's doing? But he is. So he's starting to make these mistakes over and over, several mistakes, and they're going to catch up with him. So that's part one. We'll take up part two next week. Samson's life. See some more of his mistakes. But yet, the mistakes that he makes, they don't really define who he is, really. He's still a man of God. He's going to come through in the end. Repent of these things, and God still is going to use him, as we know how the story ends. All right, Samson part 2 next week.